And then finally, let's simplify using rational exponents. So in the first one, part A, we have the 6th root of t to the 4th. So you may not have any idea what to do when it's in radical form. How do you know if it's in radical form? You see that radical symbol, right? But switch it to exponent form. So how could you rewrite the 6th root of t to the 4th power using the rational exponent notation? What does that equal to? T to the... So always think about it this way. It's going to be to a fraction, right? T to some fraction. What's the numerator of the fraction going to be? It's going to be the power. And the denominator of the fraction is always going to be the index of the root. So the 6th root of t to the 4th is t to the 4th sixths. Now you can see how it simplifies. How do you reduce 4/6? It's 2/3. So it's t to the 2/3. Now what if you were asked to write the final answer back in radical notation? How do you write t to the 2/3 in radical notation? What's the index? 3, the denominator of that exponent. And then t to the side, you could put the exponent of 2 on the inside or on the outside, it doesn't matter. Okay, so final simplify. So in other words, the 6th root of t to the 4th is the same thing as the cubed root of t squared. Let's try part B. In part B, we have the 8th root of 2 to the x and the whole thing brought to the 6th power. Can you write that using a rational exponent? So 2x, okay, you got to put it in parentheses because the 8th root is a grouping symbol. Those parentheses are there whether you really see them or not. And then what's the exponent? Doesn't matter if it's on the inside of the root or not. It's still going to be the power. The power is still going to be the numerator. And then the index is going to be the denominator on the rational exponent. So the 8th root of 2x, the whole thing to the 6th power, is the same as 2x, the whole thing in parentheses, to the 6/8 power. Does that make sense to you? What does 6/8 reduce to? So 2x to the 3/4. How could you rewrite this in radical notation? So what would the index be? The denominator is always the index. So the 4th root of, you could put the exponent on the inside, doesn't matter, or on the outside. If you put it on the inside, though, you should probably simplify it. What's 2x cubed? So that's equal to the 4th root of, okay, 2 cubed is 8. Remember, the exponent splits up over multiplication. 2 cubed is 8, and x cubed is x cubed. So this is the, don't forget the 4th root out here. The 4th root, same as the 4th root of 8x cubed. Okay, any questions on that? Yes? Because it's 2x, the whole thing cubed. So think about 2x times 2x times 2x. It's got to be 8x cubed. Finally, part C. We have the 5th root of a squared, b to the 4th, the whole thing to the 15th power. Can you write that with a fractional exponent? What would the, let's work on this. What would the fraction in the exponent be? 15/5, the power 15 over the index 5. Now, how would you write the base? What would the base be? So that's the exponent. What would the base be? Okay, now, do I need anything else? There's an implied set of parentheses in here, so you need that around the base. Okay. So the 5th root of a squared b to the 4th, the whole thing to the 15th power, is a squared b to the 4th, the whole thing to the 15 over 5. What's 15/5? 3. Okay, so this is a squared b to the 4th, the whole thing cubed. I think it makes sense to get rid of the parentheses in this one. So when you have a product inside parentheses brought to a power, What do you do with that power? Don't answer that yet. Look at the rules. Which one of the 6 rules has a product brought to a power? No, that's not a product. 4th one, right? A times B to the m power. That A times B is in parentheses, isn't it? So what does the rule say? The exponent of m applies to every factor in the product, in parentheses. Okay, so how does that apply to this one? So we have a squared, b to the 4th in parentheses, that whole thing brought to the 3rd power. So how could you rewrite this? So if you want, so it'd be a squared. If you want to have an intermediate step, it would be a squared cubed. So this guy brought to the 3rd power times what? B to the 4th cubed. But now we have exponents to exponents on both of those factors, right? So what's the rule? What's a squared cubed? You keep the base and multiply the exponents. B to the 4th cubed. B to the 12th. Keep the base. Exponent on the inside, exponent on the outside. Keep the base, B, and multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. So a to the 6th, b to the 12th would be a nice way to write the final answer. Okay?